And we are back at another real life biz chats with oh my gosh, I've got a very dynamic guest and who's sitting back in the green room. I know he can hear me, David Brown. I've been so excited to have him on here. We've had to reschedule him once because of some things that I was changing up, but just an amazing man. I've just been so excited, looking forward to this all weekend, having him on here. But before we jump into the interview, we are broadcasting live at boldradiostation.com. Come on down. We're getting ready to implement music again in between the shows, and some other fun things that we like to do. Big shout out to the team, the two producers, Damian and Nesha. They kick ass. They don't kick butt or tushy. They kick ass to get these shows up and out the door. And then, of course, there's Mama Ingrid, who's like, I think the youngest one of us all, Mama Ingrid, who keeps us all in line. She's the director of operations. If she doesn't know about it, it's not getting done. The team is amazing. And then, of course, we've got the Get Your Groove On Canadian, Lynn Brunette, sitting up there in Vancouver Island, who is my partner in crime. And I don't think... I hope Lynn is listening today, because I really don't think her and I have been in enough crime yet. So, Lynn, we need a crime and on up. Anyways, so before we get started, make sure you step on by Bold Radio Station. We've got advertisers, sponsors, and one of the current advertisers here locally is custom-made Super Grip dog leash. I use them myself, and they are waterproof. They never rot. They have an awesome grip, wet or dry. The material soft and feels awesome in your hands, and you can wash them. They're amazing. And Grace, my almost 5-year-old Black Labs trainer, Ray, who is the owner of Razor Canine, him and his wife are making these leashes. They are the best leashes. If you want to get one, stop on over at boldradiostation.com, go to the advertisers page, and you can click right on his website or go directly to his website at Razor K9. That's Razor K and the number 9, razork9.com. If you are a dog owner, you must have this leash. They are amazing. Last week, Sheila Kennedy hosted her Power Up event in Rochester, New York. Bold Radio Station was the media sponsor for that, and plus I also flew in and was one of 8 speakers at the event. A standing ovation goes out to Sheila Kennedy, all the speakers, and every single woman in there in Rochester, New York that showed up. It was a beautiful day. It was an amazing day. Sheila Kennedy is the ever-ready bunny. She's the bold ever-ready bunny, who is nonstop, who hosted a magnificent event. Loved connecting with all the women. Big shout out to Sheila and the great job that she's done over at Zebra Inc. You want to track her little tushy down as well over at Zebra Inc. She has got a really nice platform going on, and Bold Radio is one of the partners and is part of that. All right. Enough of that. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. My guest, David Brown. David, come on down. How are you today?
I'm great, Kim. Thank you for having me on the show. I've been looking forward to it. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So, David, I want to put things in perspective here on internet radio, on the radio. David lives, how far are you? About an hour and a half south of me? You're in Michigan, but is it about an hour and a half drive?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Just north of the Ohio line.
Yep, you're way down there by the Michigan-Ohio line. Okay. So, David, before we jump on into this interview, which I've been geeked about. I've been very geeked about. I can't remember the last time I used that word geeked. Could you please tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, I spent 25 years as a captive insurance agent working for Farm Bureau Insurance, and decided in 2012 to retire and go a different direction with my life. And so I started my own consulting company, which now I've published 2 books through my work, and helped several clients start their business with building their business plan and seeing them grow into a success.
Yep.
So I've really enjoyed helping people, and this is the way I can continue what I was doing.
You know something, David, you also are, you have a book, which I have here in my office, From the Bottom Up, which is, starting a business to being a president of a multi-million dollar organization. And you help business owners. You're the business plan man. You are the business plan man. You help, you help people grow their business, set realistic objective goals. If they need funding, I know your hands are involved in that as well. Not per se personally do you fund, but you can get people in front of the right people for the funding. You help them hire employees. You can strategize with them, and you can help them track budgets and goals. You're the guy that does the stuff that I don't like to do, quite frankly. But we need to do it. We got to have, if we're a brick and mortar or if we're any kind of a business that we need some funding, everybody that's listening, you need a business plan, and your I's have got to be dotted and your T's have got to be crossed. And that is not something to take on by yourself. You need to turn out there and hire people that know how to do it, like David. Am I right?
Correct. We, the last, client I had that went in was looking to buy a building, and she wrote out her business plan. She had no idea where to start until she got hold of my book. So I gave her, she got a copy of the book, went through that, wrote it, had her all the details, and then she sent it to me, and I looked over it, made some tweaks to it. And when she went to the bank, first time she got approved, but the banker told her when it was all done that he had not seen a more complete business plan in a long, long time, which made her feel good and me feel good, because between the two of us, we put together this document that got her loans for her building and startup.
Yeah, that's the first step, is that business plan to get in front of funding, banks. And I know that you are doing some collaboration down there in Southern Michigan with last time you and I spoke, with some banks and stuff. But unless there's a plan in place, no bank, no investor, nobody will look at you. And I'll tell you what, David, those plans, that is not something, like I said, that's not something someone should take on by themselves. That is something that you've got to get help for this, because one little hole or loop inside of that plan, and those banks, they'll shut you down. They'll like, get on out of here and come on back. And, and you don't want to blow it like that in front of the banks. You really want to be prepared.
Oh, absolutely. And you want to have all your supporting documentation with the plan. It's not enough just to have, this is how we're going to operate the business and this, but where did you come up with this information? There's a lot of research material out there. It just takes time consuming to find it. And I've been lucky that I've hit the right spots and saved those. I did a new restaurant opening up. I had to go in and get a new loan. And we found all the base benchmarking for the restaurant association is using that supported how he came up with his costs for his business plan. And that was just as important as the plan itself, because we were able to substantiate everything that he did and had his experience. And so it's just spending the right time and where to look and different things, how to get all these little pieces that go inside the plan that most people don't even have an idea where to look or how to get started. They're so afraid of this that you don't know where to turn. Unless you've got someone to guide you all the way through it, it makes it real difficult, and you put it off and you put it off. We're famous at procrastinating, and then you get somebody like myself that comes in and kicks you in the backside and gets you moving, and helps you get all the documents and put it together and format it just right. It makes a world of difference.
Yeah, absolutely. In that form, it makes a world of difference. And, that's not, that I am so glad I didn't have to go through that end of that to go in front of a bank for funding. I'm really good. So David, and this is something I don't know about you. But what was your decision that you did? What led you to write your book, From the Bottom Up? What was that aha moment, that differentiating moment where you just said, I got to write a book about this?
Well, it was kind of ironic the way it all started. When I worked for Farm Bureau, they came out a few years before I retired and said, every agent has to write a full business plan. Well, for myself, that was no problem because I've always had all of these pieces there. I just had to put it together, polish it up, and fluff and buff it. But we had some newer agents that came in and called me up because they knew I was always there to help anybody that asked. And it says, how do I go about this? What do I do? So I sat down with two agents and we talked for a couple of hours, and I'm asking them all these questions and what they're doing and how they're doing business, what they plan and different things. And we went on, and they got, after about 2 hours, they said, yeah, but how do we write our plan? I said, just write down what you just told me over the last 2 hours, and that's your plan. And they looked at me, both of them in unison. It was kind of funny. It was like stereo system going off. You should be teaching this. Mm. And that's when the light bulb went on above my head and said, oh, here, I'll just put pen to paper and write a book. So I started writing it prior to my retirement, and then I finished up afterwards. But it was because of these two young agents that asked for help, that appreciated it so much for the guidance I gave them, told me I should teach it. And so that's the direction I went with my life and my career. So that's how the book came about and where I'm at because of those two people.
I love it. I love it. And now the next step is, I'm going to bring this up, David, because this is a constant angst with a lot of authors. And the next step is marketing, getting that book. The book is out there, but getting that book really out there and the well-deserved attention that it needs. And I know those are your next steps with that. But the reason why I'm saying this is because there's a lot of authors out there that is a pitfall for them, so to speak, on marketing their book. They, what they don't know is what they don't know, and they need help. And I believe in tribes and collaborations and partnerships and coming together. And I know that is your next step, with marketing for the books. So I'm really excited for you on that. It's a great book, and it's a must read. And you also too were just recently, involved in a second book, Journey to Success, Volume 1, which you participated in with 21 other co-authors. And this is an anthology that you participated in, and you reached out to me and sent me the chapter to read and write a little blurb for you, a testimony for you at the end of the chapter, which I was flattered that you did that. And that's where I was really reading, going, wow, David, your journey. I mean, I had no idea. I mean, you have not shared that. In your chapter, how you wrote was beautiful. How you were a factory blue-collar worker punching a time clock, and then leaving that whole arena, then getting involved in the insurance business. And I love how you said in there, like, okay, I was always told when to come to work, and I'm paraphrasing your words, by the way. I was always told when I come to work, punch a clock, go home, when to eat lunch. That now going into the insurance business, you had to be responsible for your time. You had to be responsible for your, getting on up and getting into work and pounding payments and things like that. The whole thing changed for you.
It did. It's a whole dynamic when you get people that make that transition from an employee to business owner or employer, that transitioning from, told what to do, you don't have to think, you go in, you just, it's repetitive motions all the time, to being responsible for everything. And it took me a little while to get used to that, but it was that determination and focus, I'm going to do this, that kept me going and got me in that journey forward.
Business ownership is not for everybody, David. It's not for everyone. And these are skills. I mean, this is not luck or, when I was a little kid, I always knew I wanted to own a business. And, and maybe there are some people out there, but this is all skills, owning a business, running a business, having to be confident and strong enough to put up with all the BS that comes along with owning the business, the ups, the downs, the trials, the tribulations, all that stuff. And so it was interesting. How did you make that transition and keep yourself motivated and accountable?
Well, I turned to a lot of people for help. In my early days, I had a manager that I worked closely with that overseen all the agents in our county. But he was there as a guidepost to keep me going. And then as time moved on, but you built that network that who can help you, because early on, nobody knows all the answers. I'm still learning like everyone else. It's one of these things. It's a lifelong learning process, but having someone that supports you as far as mental and backup. I like a mastermind group where I've always had 2 or 3 people I can count on for help and guidance. And till I got that down, and thank goodness for supportive wife and family that allowed me to make this transition. And the kids in the early years, why don't we have any money? Well, I had them total up my books one time, and I said, that's why we don't have any money, because of all the cost of running your own business. And that was before I even had employees. But it's trying to learn the best way to do it. And unfortunately, I learned the hard way for 25 years. So of using my own experience versus I didn't have a lot of people to pick from that had been through that transition ahead of me that I knew of. Yep. So it took a lot of trials, tribulations, and pulling my hair out to learn some of this. But once I did, it made my life easier and a little more stable. Then I decided how I'm going to work. I'm going to be what hours I want to be available and do things. And so once I got that set, it was easier to adapt. But it's making those hard decisions in the early years.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have that supportiveness. It doesn't, mean that is going to equal to success, but it certainly does help when you've got the supportive family and things like that. So what typically is in a business plan? I mean, what is the content of a business? I mean, I've seen business plans, but what typically is in a business plan?
Well, one of the things that we normally see is who's your preferred market. If everybody's your customer, nobody's your customer, because you have to narrow that down and identify who is best suited for your product or service. And once you identify that, then we can start working around that and building the marketing around it. But you got to know who's your market, where's your best marketplace, to start building the marketing, how you're going to market the business and do business at. And so we go from there into how much money you're going to spend, how much money you're going to earn, how's it all going to balance out, and set a really good budget. And with the facts, you have to remember, a budget is just a guide. You can maneuver around inside that, but you need to know what it's going to take and lay out all these different costs. So you're going to have to do that, and how are you going to fulfill your income level to meet your expenses? So a good marketing plan, a good budget and goals is the key pieces, and then we break those down even farther and how we're going to do it. Those will make up the large portion, and I've seen business plans anywhere from a cocktail napkin to a novel. I wouldn't recommend the cocktail napkin, but somewhere in between. There's no set guideline for it. This has to be in there. But when you go to the bank, they're going to want to know where you're doing business, how you're doing business, and who you're going to be looking for and how you're going to reach them. And once we get those 4 or 5 key pieces in there, then we can start framing all the other offshoots and the more details. So those are where I like to start at, identifying that in funds. Do you got to borrow money, or do you have the startup fund?
Yep. That's interesting. I think any business owner, any person stepping into business ownership, either identify ASAP right away. Do you have funds, or do you need to borrow the funds? We need money to invest in order to grow the business. And if you're opening up a brick and mortar, my God, there's taxes, there's payroll, there's inventory, there's so much. And I don't know what the new rule of thumb is, David, for that funding. When you're going to open up a brick and mortar like that with inventory and stuff, I don't know if what the rule of thumb is. 3 months of money to run the business in the bank. Is there even such a rule of thumb anymore? I don't know.
It just depends on who you talk to. I've seen, average starting out, they know money's tight, but I mean, you're going to have to get by anticipated no more, less than 3 months.
Yeah.
To have a good idea how you're going to come up with that first 3 months money. Especially if you're going to have to work ahead of time before you can open a brick and mortar store.
Yeah.
And then the pitfalls of that is people, when they do finance, if they're not careful, they can lose everything they own. We had a business just up the street that, and I didn't find out till later what had happened, and I bet that they didn't have a good business plan, is he retired from an auto company. His wife wanted to open his hobby store. It was dealing with like dolls, I think it was. And they didn't do their homework. They bought a building instead of leasing, and then in order to buy it, they tied in their home. And they already emptied out their savings account to get the business started. They lost their home, their business, and everything because of this, and he had to go back to work because he didn't have, and like I said, I bet money that he didn't have a solid business plan and do enough planning and get the right help because they weren't open long. And I don't know how he even got funding, but being tied to their primary residence, and now they had to go find an apartment to live in because they couldn't stay in their home.
Yeah.
So the pitfalls of not doing your homework and getting all this laid out ahead of time and careful consideration of where that money is coming from is critical. If you got to borrow money, make sure that you look at maybe a lease-to-own type situation, or there's different variables out there, but seek that help to get the right guidance before you jump in with both feet.
So I like your, on your tagline on a lot of your stuff is, the money is in the plan, and the money is in the plan. And even more than just a business plan, but I mean, it's this planning, marketing and planning and strategizing. Money is in the plan. But let's back up here. So, how does a business owner go about writing a business plan? I mean, besides tracking you down for help, what does one do?
That's the easiest way. One of the things that I found is I'm a fill-in-the-blank guy. I like to make things easy. I like to work smarter, not harder. So in order to help get those people that want help, but they don't really want to hire somebody, they want to try and do it on their own, I've created a workbook that's fill in the blank that tracks from the bottom up. That workbook is free on my website. So anybody that wants to start a business, is thinking about writing a business plan, they can go to www.dbrowncompany.com and click on that link, and you just leave your email and your name, and then you can download this workbook that it's fill in the blank. It takes you step by step through the business planning process, and you can write your own plan based on that workbook. And then as part of that, there is sample budgets, there's other templates that you can use to help. I like to help people, and this is my way of, hey, here's something out there, but the flip side is if you want help, you can click on another link and you get me. But I put this out there to help people, but you can go through other groups that are out there to help with business planning and things like that. But some of them charge, I've seen them upwards of $5,000 to write a business plan. And if you don't have money to start the business, let alone $5,000 to get your plan, it's hard. But there's templates out there online, and do a lot of online research. But the easiest way is just go to my website, download that book, and fill in the blank. And then if you buy the book or however you want to do it, you can do that. And then if you want me to review it or want some help, I'm available at different rates, but they're low cost. Okay. Or I should say low investment, not so much cost, because you're going to get a great return on your investment because you can get your money's worth.
Yep, exactly.
But that's the easiest way to do it.
So say that again, David, where everyone can get your workbook, which is a great workbook. Where can they get that at?
It's www.dbrowncompany, spelled out, .com. And right on the homepage, you'll see a link to get your free workbook. And click that, and it'll just ask for your email address and your name, and then you'll have access to the workbook and the templates. It's just a little way of me helping out people to get started in this process. So dbrowncompany.com, click on the link, and you can get your workbook.
Excellent. So everyone hop on over there and if you don't need the workbook for a business plan, at least hop on over there and give a big shout out. Hey, hi, high five or hi to David and connect with David. I think it's amazing the work you have done around guiding business owners to do that as well. A couple other things here, David, before we move into my questions. I'm territorial about some of these questions that I ask my guests in my show. But so how should overall, if someone's out there listening and, I need a business plan, how should all that be used? We determined how people can go about doing it and where they can reach you and, get a template if money is a situation here, and they don't have upwardly $5,000 to invest in a business plan, that maybe they need to push their sleeves up. But how can all of that be used after it's all been said and done?
Well, that's the other issue is people forget how to, don't have an understanding. One we've talked about is funding. If you're going to go seek any type of funding or partnership, they're going to want a plan. So that's key number one. And the other thing that I like to recommend to people is everybody in your team should know that business plan, should have a copy of that so they know how you're going to run the business. And especially when it comes to goals and budgets, that if you have to hire staff to help you, it would be nice if they knew how much business you had to pay the bills. You need to have an idea. One of the first questions I always ask people is, how much does it cost you to put your key in the lock? Mm-hmm. And people look at me with that deer in the headlight look. But when I had the office, I knew how much it cost me every day, how much business I had to bring in order to pay all my bills. Mm-hmm. And that's where I like to start is people can use that internally to help build their staff so everybody's on the same page, chapter, and verse as they run the business. And if you're just by yourself, I use the marketing plan and calendar is the key piece that you use all the time. The business plan is a living, breathing document. You don't just write it and put it on a shelf. I always laugh, or you could use it as a doorstop. But okay. Some of when you got a novel tick, it makes a great doorstop, but it helps keep yourself on track. This is how you said you're going to do it. If you run into a speed bump along the way, all of a sudden something isn't working, review that plan and say, all right, am I following the plan? If not, where did I fall off the track? I need to get back on it and follow that forward because that's the roadmap of how you're going to move that business forward. Is it always 100% accurate? No. But it gives you good ideas on what thing, because sometimes we get blindsided, or entrepreneurs are famous for the shiny object syndrome. Something new and exciting comes out, we always flock to like a fly to the light. And so that'll help keep you focused on the direction you need to go. So it's a key piece for even a solo entrepreneur like myself. I use it all the time because this is how I'm going to do it. This is where I want to go. And so that's how you use it. But if you got employees, if you don't want to give them the nitty-gritty budget and information, that's fine. But give them the working and the marketing plan of how you're going to market the business, how you're going to do it, how much business you need to bring in. Those employees are key to the success of your business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that customer service and having those employees and absolutely there's so much involved opening up a business. David, are you currently still dabbling in the insurance business at all?
No, I've actually surrendered my license to get out of that because some restrictions I had when I retired, but I have enough contacts within there, so that is I could still refer back and have some good contacts. So if people need help with their insurance end of it, I've got those folks to recommend. I've maintained that network of groups. But as far as individual selling, no, I don't do that. But I have people that we can bring in on the team to help with the insurance end of it, because that's the other thing people forget about is an entrepreneur starting a business is you've got all those other insurances that you have to have that, oh, my God, I didn't plan for that. That's going to be how much?
Yes.
So we can work with those and attorneys and CPAs and things. We've got that group that we can bring in if we need to to help get this plan and get you moving forward.
That's those. That's the other thing, because as you know, David, my husband's in the insurance business, and boy, when you are leasing, owning, anything within inside a building, you have to have the property and casualty coverage, and then just the overall insurance on the business and that bill. It's just there really is a lot involved. There really truly is a lot involved. Okay, one more time, even though we are not done yet. One more time, how can they go download your workbook, David?
Okay, it's www.dbrowncompany.com.
Yep.
D is for David, Brown, company spelled out, .com. I'll take you right there to the home page, or you'll see a link right there. Click that, fill in the email and name, and you're logged in. That'll get you into the members side of the website, which is free. And then you've got the template for the other information to help you get along, how to hire employees, budgets, goals, but also that workbook is right there, so you can download it. You can fill it out right there, whatever your heart desires. But it's there as a resource to be used, so that's my way of saying helping the folks paying it forward.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, David, we got about 15 more minutes left to the show here, and I'm going to ask you these next couple questions, and what I want you to do is don't think about it. I just want you to just jump right on in and answer these questions. So what we measure determines our success. How do you measure your success?
Personally, I look at, the bank account, because I got to eat. Mm-hmm. I have that bad habit. But I look at the satisfaction of my customers, of the clients that I work with. Are they satisfied with my work? And if are they able to get their business up and running, and are they able to get the funding they need? If they can do that, and they're satisfied, they're happy, their business is starting to move, I get that inner warmth and feeling of success myself, because to me, I'm part of that business, and my own belief that I help them get it with their paperwork to get going, and now I have a vested interest. I want to see them be successful.
Yep. Yep, I love that. I love it. So to date, what has been your largest challenge that you have turned into an opportunity?
One of the biggest things that I did was try to help a new veterinarian get started, brand new cold to the area, how to help them get strategized to find out how they're going to get their client base. And so we were able to, I had to revert back to my old insurance marketing days and dig up my old list brokers. And so we were able to find, because it's a specialty practice, we sat down and identified what their key client looks like, because it's, they specialize only in cats, and it's a full-service practice vet hospital. And so once we identified that ideal person, I was able to dig up my old list broker contacts, and I found a list within 5 miles of her office. We went through there with this criteria, the cat does mail order, subscribes to magazines, and all this other information that we have, what income range, because people that have the money are going to spend money on cats. And they love their pets or their kids. And so we identified in a 5-mile radius 5,000 households with cats in the income brackets.
Wow.
And I said, just for grins and giggles, let's kick it out 20 miles. And we had 25,000 households. And that list, that 20-mile radius list, was $400.
Wow.
So we were able to help, and we started a mailing. But we were able to take, right, she's low budget because it's a new start, and identify that, and we were able to put together a workable plan that built her practice. The first 2 years, she met or exceeded her goals by 20%, based on the information that we put together for her. So I was just patting myself on the back because I was able to turn in a very small budget into a successful practice for her.
That is great. That's a great way to really jump in and start off as well. I mean that's awesome. That is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, David, how do you on a daily basis continue to push yourself to stretch and grow? Because as business owners, we have to continue to stretch and grow. So, how do you do that?
Well, I stay in contact with a lot of people. Over throughout the course of the day. I've got a set routine that I do. First thing in the morning, I come in, I get the computer going, and then I've got a list of stuff that I've always got a to-do list. And right now, the one sitting in front of me is about 3/4 of one page of priority stuff that I need to get done. By the end of the day, I will have tomorrow's A list ready to go. And so I always have my priority list of things to do that keeps me moving forward. And I like, and as many of the time management and successful people say, tackle the hardest things first thing in the morning. That's when you're freshest. And so I try to put everything that's going to take a lot of thought early in the morning. And so I do that, and then I've got a list of assignments from a mastermind group that I belong to that I've always got homework for there. So that group helps keep me motivated and focused, and we talk back and forth throughout the day. So we're getting contact from all these people we're helping each other, but to stay motivated. And it really makes a huge difference having somebody to kick my butt, and then talking with you and emails back and forth that you and I do really helps me keep moving, because you're holding me accountable for some of the stuff I'm doing based on our conversations that we have. But and it really helps to have somebody like yourself or, a mastermind group to really help keep you focused and moving forward. But my wife comes home and says, all right, what'd you get done today? And so she's always keeping track, making sure I'm on track to what I want to do. And that means the world to me.
Yep, that's wonderful. That's the beautiful significant other support too, and helping us, grow and stay accountable. So, hey, David, has there ever been a time in this transition that leaving, the punching the clock of blue collar into insurance and into business ownership? Have you ever felt like giving up?
Many a day.
Yep.
And we get so frustrated sometimes if something doesn't go our way. I kind of think back of the movie The Replacements when he talks about getting fear of quicksand, where things just start to tumble. One thing leads to another, and it keeps getting worse. And then there's days I just want to throw everything up and say, I quit. I'm going to go. And then I just take a few minutes to myself and sit there and kind of refocus myself. And if I have to, I pick up the phone and say, hey, help. Because I've got, I'm going to say people out there that are there if I need to help and keep you going. And it is frustrating at times if something doesn't happen just the way you have it all planned out in your head. And I try to be very cautious on some of the things, because we always want to figure everything's going to be 100% fine. It's in the perfect world, it works that way, but not in reality. So I just try to be cautiously optimistic on some things, but I try to have that backup system there. If I need something, and my wife is fantastic. She'll sit me down and kind of read me the riot act when I need it. But it's just try to stay focused. I've always got a stack of books that I'll just pick up a book and reread it just to take my mind off what I'm doing. And that'll help. But it's always trying to learn something new. But having that support mechanism is key to anything we do.
What I love that you just said mainly about all of that is, when you get into that arena, it's like help. You've got your tribe, you've got your peeps surrounding you, because it doesn't matter how many years we've been in business, there's still the ups and downs, peaks and valleys, whatever the hell you want to call it. We need our tribe. We need our peeps of like-minded around us, as well, especially for those people, David, that don't have spouses or significant others that are supportive, because not everybody has what you and I have, that is supportive, or even friends. I mean, I remember in my fitness business, training women that are, becoming healthy now. So they're changing their lifestyle. They're changing the way they eat. And I used to watch how their friends would call them and say, hey, you want to go blah, blah, blah. And they would go like, well, I'll go to eat, but not there, and I mean, just the sabotage, the sabotage, whether it's conscious or subconscious, the sabotage that's involved, and that's the same thing with significant others can do the same thing, roll their eyes when you're going to get serious, all that, stuff that can come with non-supportive spouses and friends and things like that. So yeah, it's very important. It's very important to surround ourselves with the like-minded individuals. And I say that a lot. So I hope I'm not sounding to people that are listening redundant with the like-minded individuals, but it's true. We have to be around other peeps that either have gone through it, go through it, or we need to align ourselves up with some that are just coming into the arena that are going to taste and experience it as well. So I think that is wonderful that you've got your community of peeps. And yes, I'm always here for you. And with that being said, before we start winding the show down here, I want everyone to know, David Brown, you and I met in a I think it was like a quarter-day workshop or something that.
It was a National Speakers Association meeting.
Yes, that's what it was. Yes, that was a few years ago. That was quite a few years ago. And I don't know. You and I started talking, and they had us breaking out into partners and doing some work. And you and I partnered up and did some work. We've become friends ever since. And I want everybody to know one thing about David Brown. You are one of the most supportive persons that I know. I mean, I don't even have to call you up and say, David, I need your help. You're there. It's like you read my mind. You're that type of a person. And I've also seen other people on social media that you have come to know possibly through me because they're my connections. I'm not hogging the spotlight here, but I've watched how you support them as well. And you don't just support everybody. You are quite particular. But boy, oh boy, when you support. And I would just want to give you a huge shout out about that. A big, huge hug through the airwaves. You're amazing. You are so
Thank you.
Amazing. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, my philosophy is, I've had so many people in my career, in my life help me, and I like to pay it forward because I see people that wrote their first book or their second book or whatever, some accomplishment. And I like to recognize them because I know the kind of work that goes into that, being in that myself. And I have met such wonderful people, and just over a comment on social media, and like how we met, I go to these workshops, with two thoughts in mind. What can I learn today? And who can I meet that I can help or they can help me? Mm-hmm. And build those networks by going to these meetings. There's so much information between the sessions as there is in the session. And it's building those networks and friendships like you and I have built over the years. And I still tease you because you had the unfortunate thing of sitting in a seat next to me. But the information that we've been able to help each other with, to me, has just been priceless. But there's so many other people out there in that same way that if you don't take advantage and do the networking and spend time meeting the right people, you're going to be strolling behind everybody else.
Yeah. You are so right. And it takes a team, it takes a tribe, it takes a group, it takes a collaboration. All right. One last thing here. Before I finish up with my last question one more time, how can everyone get in touch with you?
Now, the easiest way is go to my website at dbrowncompany.com, or you can email me at david@dbrowncompany.com. Either way, there's a comment section or contact us on the website, and a lot of information there to take advantage of. But if any questions or thoughts, please go to the website at dbrowncompany.com or shoot me an email at david@dbrowncompany.com. And before I leave, real quick, I want to make one comment on if you go through from the bottom up, to make it easier, there's a dedicated email in that book at the end of every chapter. So if you're reading a chapter and you got a question, you don't have to look. There's an email right there that you can send me an email at the end of every chapter for questions, and I'm here to help.
Okay, my last question was, David, and is there any last golden nugget you would like to share? And you just went right in and did that last golden nugget there. Oh, my God, thank you so much. See what I mean? You're there. You show up. It's like you read my mind. I love it. I love it. So, again, reach out to David. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. If you are not connected with David, you need to get connected with David, because David is David, you're a smart man. You're a caring man. You're a giving man, and you are very supportive. And if you need help out there with business planning and dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and getting those P's and Q's all set in order there, David is the guy, to turn to. So please reach out to him. And David, I cannot thank you enough for being my guest on my show today. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have a conversation with you, and hopefully that the folks listening have picked up an idea or two that may help them move their business to the next spot. And wishing everybody continued success. And Kim, my heart goes out to you. I mean, a big hug for having me on your show. It's just tremendous for me. Pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much, David. Sit tight, make yourself comfortable in the Bold Radio Station's green room. I'll be right out there to talk with you. Let me wrap the show up. Hey, everybody, thank you for joining us today. I hope you're taking away that you understand that the money is in the plan. If you are launching a brick and mortar store of some sort, business of sorts, the money is in the plan. Reach out to David, get in touch with him. Stop by right here again next week, boldradiostation.com, same time, same place. Biz Chats with Kim. Not just for my show, we got a lot going on here at Bold Radio Station. Come on by, check us out. We're over on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and a few other places we're hanging out. So swing on by and get out there. Make it a bold day, and we'll hear you right same place, same time next week. Thank you.
Thanks for joining yet another Real Life Chats with Kim. Come on back next week, same place and time, where the boldest of bolds share their truths.